So we are going to look at surface area of rectangular prisms today, and we're not going to really follow a formula, but we are going to have some required steps. Let's first talk about what surface area is. Surface area of a three-dimensional figure is the total areas of all surfaces put together. What that basically means is you are going to be finding the area of all the faces and adding them up. So let's take a look at what our steps are. Step 1 is to make a list of all the bases and faces. Step 2 is to write a formula for each of the separate ones. Let's go ahead and do that together. So for a rectangular prism, all the sides are going to be either squares or rectangles, and that does make it a little bit easier. And how we like to label them is where they are. For example, we will have a front rectangle, a back rectangle, a top rectangle, a bottom rectangle, a left rectangle, and a right rectangle. That's kind of step 1. Step 2 says to write the formula for each of them. We're lucky. If you take a look here, all of these are rectangles. So the formula for all of these is going to be length times width. That's the formula for a rectangle. We'll get into other prisms later where they won't all be rectangles. Step 3 is to then substitute the values for the dimensions in the formulas. Step 4 is then to calculate each of them, and then lastly go ahead and add them up and make sure you put a label at the end. So let's look at the front rectangle. That would be this rectangle right here. It has a length of 8 and a width of 4. So we would do 8 times 4, which is 32. The back rectangle, which would be this one, also has a length of width and a length of width and a width of 4. And so 8 times 4 again is 32. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to erase that. Let's do the tops and the bottoms. All right. So the top would be this rectangle here. It would be this length, which would be 8, and it would be this length, which would be 2. So 8 times 2, which is 16. And the bottom, which is this rectangle, again, length of 8, width of 2. 8 times 2, which equals 16. And then the last two that we're going to look at is this 2 on the sides, the left and the right rectangles. So again, we've got our left rectangle, which is this one right here. It has a width of 4 and a length of 2, so 4 times 2, which is 8. And the right one, which would also be 2 and 4, so 4 times 2, which equals 8. So now that we have these, we've got 32, 32, 16, 16, 8, and 8. What I want you to notice is that the front and back are the identical rectangles, the top and bottom are identical rectangles, and left and right are identical rectangles. And that's how it will be for all of your rectangular prisms. The rectangle that is opposite of the other rectangle are identical. So you technically will now on not have to do front and then back, but you can put them together, do front and back, find that rectangle, and you would just double it, multiply by 2. So the surface area would be all of these areas added up, which would equal 112 meters squared. We do square it because it is area. All right, let's take a look at this one. So like I said before, this time I'm going to go ahead and do the front and back together, the top and bottom together, and the left and right together. All of them are areas of rectangles, which would be length times width. And since I'm doing the left and back, or the front and back, top and bottom, left and right, I'm going to multiply them each by 2 because I'm going to account for both of them. So let's go ahead and look at the front and back. It's going to be 2 times. So front and back, I'm going to consider this my front, and the back would be identical. So that would be 4 times 3. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. Now let's do our top and bottom, and again, we're going to multiply it by 2. So here's my top and my bottom. It would be this length, which is 4, and this length, which is 5. So 4 times 5 is 20, times 2 is 40. And then lastly, my left and my right. That would be these sides right here, which would be 5 and 3. 5 times 3, which is 15. 15 times 2, which is 30. Now we just need to add all of these up, which would be, that would be 70, so this would be 94 inches squared. All right, here we have a cube. I'm going to do this the exact same way. I'm going to have a front and a back, a top and a bottom, and a left and a right. And again, I'm going to do 2 times length times width. Now if you notice here, they are all 9s. That makes things very, very easy. So I'm just going to do 2 times 9 times 9, 2 times 9 times 9, 2 times 9 times 9. All of them will equal the exact same, which would be 162. And then lastly, we just need to add all those up, which would be 486 centimeters squared. All right, so I think that gives you all a really good idea of how to find them. You just need to find each individual rectangle and then add those areas up together. Good luck.